Hello everyone, hope you're all doing fine. In this session, we'll be discussing a program which validates username and password. A program to validate username and password. First of all, why is validation required? Validation is required to prevent the application abused by malicious users. If proper validation is not done, then the application will be exposed to security attacks. So it is always recommended to validate user before allowing him to use the application. What we're basically trying to do in this application is we let the user to enter username and password, and the entered details will be compared with the data entered in the database. If they match, a message box will be popped up with a message valid username and password, and if they don't match, the message will be invalid username or password. Let's try giving some values to it. So if you can see, all the characters entered in this text box are appearing to be in asterisk characters. Why? Because the password character property for this text box has been changed to asterisk character. Then see the username, so the entered details, these are the entered details, right? And when we say validate, it says invalid username or password. So the username or password does not match with the data entered in the database. Okay. In this program, we have to understand three things. One is UI, the user interface. Second one, the data control. Third one is the database. If you can see, the UI has three labels. Okay, one for heading. This is a label. This is also a label, and there are two text boxes. Okay, one for username and the other one for the password. And if you see the password character of this text box, it is changed to star. That is why all the characters entered were appearing to be in this asterisk character. Okay, now this is a data control. This is a data control. What data control is it? It's ADODC. It is active data objects data control. Okay. And this is okay. We'll come back to data control later on. First of all, first we'll understand what a database is. Okay. What is a database? We'll come back to this UI and data control later on. Now we'll understand what a database is in brief. Okay, database is a program which allows the user to enter data, store it, protect it, and retrieve it when needed. It organizes the data in the form of tables. So what is a table? Table is nothing but a collection of related data in the form of rows and columns. Rows are records and columns are fields. Let us see how to create a database in Visual Basic. Okay, we'll be creating MS Access database. Let us see how to create it. So first we have to go to add-ins. In that Visual Data Manager, we know a database will have tables, and table will have rows and columns, records and fields. Okay, so first of all we have to create a database. Okay, for that we'll click File, New, MS Access. As we are doing MS Access, as we are creating MS Access database, we'll say Microsoft Access 7.0. Then we'll give a name to it. Let's I'll just give it a sample DB, and the extension should be MDB. Okay, so we are creating a database. Okay, sample DB is the name of the database. We save it. Okay, so what will a database have? Database will have tables. So let's see how to create a table. So right click and say new table. Okay, let's the name of the table for this program be login. Okay, login. And so a table name is login, and we have to add fields to it. So what are the fields to be added? It could be username could be one field. Let the type be text and size be 50, and we'll click OK. After that, let's add one more field to it, which is password. and let the type and size be same as it is, and we'll say okay. We have created one table, two fields. Login is the table name, okay. Username and password are the fields. We'll close this. After this, we're going to build the table. So our login table is ready. Okay, so fields are, there are two fields, and let's try to add a record. Let's try to add records to it. Okay, usually the records will be updated from the UI, but for this program we'll enter it from the database itself. So let the username be, so for that, if you have to add a record to it, click add, say let the username be ABCD and password be, I'll give it as GFGC. So this is going to be our first record. Okay, we'll say update. So in this, only one record is there. So if you have to add another record, you can give BCDE, then password, and just again give it again as GFGC update. So in this table, there are two fields and two records. Okay, let's close it. Okay, so if you can see it, first is ABCD username. There are two users. So username stored ABCD, and the next username is BCD. Okay. Now, so we understood how to create a data. This is how we create a database in Visual Basic. Okay. Now we'll close this. We'll go back to our UI. Okay. So this is, let's come back to the data control. What is a data control? Data control is a control which acts as an interface between our application and the database. Okay, and ADODC acts as a primary interface between VB application and database, and the arrows here are used to navigate through the table rows. This is an ActiveX control. It means it will not be readily available in the toolbox. We'll have to add it. Let us see how to add it. As this is already there in the toolbox, I'll just create a new project and try to add in that. So this is the ADODC. This is ADODC. Let us see how to add it to add ADODC to our toolbox. For that, we'll have to right click, go to components item, and select Microsoft ADODC control 6.0. Okay, this is this one. We'll select and say apply and close it. So the control is there in the toolbox. We can drag drop it to use it. So we said it acts as an interface between the application and the database. So how do we connect this ADODC to our database? We connect it using a property, connection string property. Okay, in that we use connection string. We say build, and the provider we select is Microsoft Jet 4.0 OLEDB provider. Then we say next, and we select the database name. So we've already created a database with the name sample DB, and we'll test connection. Okay, test connection succeeded. After this, we'll say okay, then apply. We'll go to record source. What is a record source? Record source is used to specify the source of the data. Okay, it takes different values like command text, command table, and stored procedure. We'll select command table, and what's the table name? Table name we've already created it. It is login. We say apply and say okay. So this is connected to our database. So how do we connect to the application, to the UI? Let's like this. Let's take two text boxes. So we're basically trying to do design it like this. Username. Let this be username. And here the values of this, value of it. Another label, password, And let's take another text box. Okay, so we'll connect this one ADODC with our UI. How do we do that? Select the text box, go to data source property, and select ADODC. And what is the data field for username? These two are the field names in login table. So first one is username, and second one data source ADODC, and data field we'll set it as password. So when we try to execute it, see, these were the details which we had entered in the database, and see, ABCD and GFGC is the password, right? And we can use these arrows to navigate through the record. See, can you see that? This is the second record. If you move this, you can go to the first one, and this is to move to the last one. This one is to move to the last record. So this is how it works. Okay. Let's have a look at the source code. It is very simple. Let's understand what record set is. Record set is nothing but a set of records that results from a running query or records in a base table. This record set object is used to manipulate the data in the database at the record level. Okay, then move first method moves the position of the current record pointer to the first record position in the record set. Okay, so basically the pointer moves to the first position in the record set. Then EOF is end of file. It means so record set dot end of file indicates the current record position is after the last record in the record set, right? When the position moves to the end of file, this will be true. Then what is move next? Move next is nothing but the pointer will move to the next position. Okay, and there's one do while loop here. Say it is do while not ADODC dot record set dot end of file. It means if the pointer has reached end of file, or we can say if the pointer has not reached end of file, these set of statements should be executed, right? And if it has not reached end of file, these set of statements should be executed. And if it has reached end of file, it should come out of the loop, and rest of the other statements will be executed based on the condition. Let us see I'll just put a breakpoint here. Let us see how it works. And also we had discussed that the values entered by the user will be compared with the data stored in the database. Let's first see the records stored in the database. So in this login table, we have added two records. There are two records in this login table. So what are the two records? The first record is details are username is Lavanya, password is password, and the second record is ABCD and GFGC. So only these two records are considered to be valid username and password. Okay, so only there are two records in this, and only these two are considered to be valid. So values entered by the user will be compared with the data stored in the database. So I'll just give ASDF and password as something. Okay, then when we check validate, see here what is happening. F8, so the position moves to the first position, and as there are two records, this end of file is saying false. It means the position has not reached end of file, so it is false here. The next, what has the user entered? What have we entered as username? It is ASDF. Okay, username. So we are checking here. User entered username is ASDF, and it is checking with the first record's value. It is Lavanya. So this condition is false. ASDF is not equal to Lavanya. And second on password, we have entered as Quert, and this is not equal to password. So So this condition, this if condition is false, so it goes to the end if, and what is happening, record set, the position will move to the next record. And as this end, as what is this, EOF, again it has not, the pointer has not reached the end of file, so again this statements will be executed. See again, whether ASDF is equal to ABCD, no, then quad is not equal to GFGC, so it's again false, it comes out of the loop and it moves next, the pointer moves to the next position. There are only two positions, two records. So now again it goes to the do while loop and it checks whether record set dot end of file is true or not. So it is true. When it is true, it comes out of the loop, because it is not. Only when it is false, these things will be executed. As this is true, it comes out of the loop and checks x is 0. Yeah, x is still 0 because x will be equal to 1 only when it matches. Then it says invalid username or password. Okay, then let's try giving a valid username and password. A, B, C, D, and password, let's give it as GFGC. Okay, ABCD and validate. What will happen? F8, it's checking with the first record. First record's value is Lavanya and the password, so it does not match. So it comes out of the, it loops again. This one is false, again it comes here. So entered is ABCD, stored is ABCD, entered password is GFGC, stored password, yeah, there is a match. So it says a message box will be popped up saying valid username and password. Okay, and x is equal to 1. Yes, it comes out of the loop. If x is, okay, it moves next, it comes out of the loop. Then let's say it comes, because x is not equal to 0, and it comes out of the condition. And yeah, we got to know that it's a valid, we got a message, right? It's a valid username and password. So valid username and password. Okay, so this is the working of this program.